Hey everybody, my name is Ashley and welcome back into my city-stead kitchen. Today I am canning some beef stew. I first heard about canning raw beef stew from a YouTube channel called Homesteading Family, and I actually saw it probably pretty soon when it came out, but it's been a while. I have some meat that I want to use and I'm thinking this might be a really good way to use it. Beef stew has always been one of my absolute favorite foods. I don't know what it is. We didn't make it a lot growing up, but whenever I had it, I just absolutely loved it. I love that it's simple yet delicious. And so today I have some cube steak that I need to use up. It's actually from a beef we got last year. It's some of the last beef that we have that we need to use up. I do not like cube steak, but I think because this is going to be pressure canned, it will make that beef really nice and tender. One of the reasons why I wanted to also try this recipe is I have a lot going on right now. Our whole family does, and I want to still be able to get really good, healthy meals on our table, but I need to do them quickly. I want to try to be able to have things that are more readily available in our house for fast food. We're also going to be adding potatoes, carrots, and a little bit of garlic. I also got out some homemade chicken broth that we're going to use as well. So let's start preparing all of our ingredients. Okay, I apologize if you can hear the clacking. I do have some laundry going right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start filling these jars. I'm not sure how many I'm gonna end up with, but what I do know is that I always like to have more jars washed than I think I will actually need. So I'm thinking I might do about a cup of meat in each jar and then just go ahead and fill in with the other ingredients. Now the video that I originally saw that inspired this project, she said there's lots of different things that you can do to enhance the flavor of this stew and even go as far as to just make it a veggie stew. I decided to brown the meat. I thought, you know what? I think this cube steak needs all the help it can get. So I'm gonna go ahead and brown it up. I think that that's gonna really add some good flavor. And I'm also going to add some garlic. Garlic is not something that she added when she made it. And then I also got some really good homemade chicken broth. I know you can use beef broth, but I didn't have any beef broth. And so instead of making it, I know I have plenty of chicken broth. So what I'm going to do is I only got a pint of chicken broth. What I will do is just distribute that out because I don't think it's going to be enough. And then fill in the rest with some boiling water. Now I think because my meat is cooked, it's a little more firm and it's holding its shape a little bit more. Okay, I'm sorry you guys, I had to turn that dryer off. I hope it wasn't too annoying. All right, so we got the garlic in. we have 3 really good looking jars there. An inch head space. And I just did it pretty simple. Like I said, the only thing I did differently was I browned my meat and then I added garlic. So besides that, it's super, super basic. Just meat, carrots, onions, and some potatoes. Just a little bit at a time. So this is chicken broth, like I mentioned, and what I did was after I browned the meat, I tossed this in the pan to deglaze all of those good flavors. And now it's got this really rich, dark color. It's just gonna really add some nice depth of flavor. So what I'm gonna do is just get some water boiling on the stove, and then I will go ahead and get these filled up to that 1 inch headspace. Okay, so I went ahead and added in the rest of the liquids. We've got these all filled to the top with the solid content and then also the broth and the water. I went ahead and wiped the rims with some vinegar to do a nice clean on that and make sure that there were no bits of grease or salt or anything like that interfering with the rubber ring on the band on the lid. So I'm just going to go ahead and get these rings on. Right, and they always say fingertip tight, and that is because that little rubber seal on the canning lids these days is actually very thin, and if you tighten it too much, it can actually interfere with the sealing of that jar. Back when all the canning lids used to have a rubber gasket that was an isolated rubber ring, and I guess a lot of times the lids were made out of zinc, those really, you needed to secure them tightly. But now that the rubber is sort of laid into these lids, it's a little different, and they can they don't have to use as much rubber, but you do have to be careful about that. So I think that's the holdover from the older days of canning, and why that's always a necessary thing to make sure that you specify, because a lot of times people who've been taught from grandparents or things like that might still crank those pretty tight. In fact, I learned that from my grandparents, that is why you don't want to do them too tight, because you can actually just tighten them right through that rubber. So we're going to get this going, and as soon as it starts boiling really vigorously in there, we let it what's called vent for 10 minutes, and what that does is it just boils like crazy and pushes out all of the air and exchanges it with pure steam. And then once that steam has taken over the entire canner, which takes about 10 minutes, then we start building pressure. All of these extra veggies put away. I'm thinking this might make a really good sort of scrambled hash in the morning or something like that. And it's already all prepped, which I love. And I love these storage containers. I've shown them so many times, and I can create a link in the description box of my videos if you would like to check them out. They're made out of glass, plastic lid, and they hold, I think, about 4 cups. It's about a quart, which I feel like is a pretty good size. You can freeze them because they're not oddly shaped. You can freeze liquid in here because it's not plastic. You can marinate in them because they're airtight. They're just great. They're a great size. So we use these for everything. So this is going to go in the fridge. Okay, our canner is still going, but we're almost finished. And if you can, you know that when the canning processing time is done, that does not necessarily mean that the canning process is done. So this has been processing for almost 90 minutes. At the 90-minute marker, we let it cool down and release all of that pressure naturally, which can take another 45 minutes at least. So it's going to be a little bit, but as soon as those jars come out, I will show you what they look like. Thanks for coming along with me as I made this beef stew. I'm super excited to try it, trying to find ways to bring a little bit of home-cooked fast food into our meal plan. If you'd like to see more of what comes out of my kitchen, please consider subscribing. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon.